I'll edit it because it'll start and yeah. All right, Chris Popper here in Bangor. I'm joined by Kate Meyer, who is the design thinking teacher English at MDI High School, Wendy Littlefield, the business manager at MDI High School, Renee Laber, who is foreign languages, Ruth Poland, science, and Charlie Johnson, art media. And I thank you all for giving up part of your vacation to join us here. The thought was, we hear so much about how things are difficult for students, for teachers, and we acknowledge that. We know that this has just been, the pandemic has just ripped apart education. The way that the way things everyone's been used to have just been turned topsy-turvy. Students, parents, teachers, etc. But there are great things that are happening, and uh, we want to acknowledge that. And it seems like it's always so easy to talk about the bad news, and we need to have some good news. So Kate, who is the reigning Hancock County Teacher of the Year, has organized this group. We're going to have another group tomorrow, and we'll post that video. But let's kind of talk about some of the things that you all are doing and how your classes are thriving, and again, acknowledging the fact that it's not perfect for everyone. So Kate, why don't you start and tell us what's happening with your kids and in your classes?
Sure. So thank you for having us on to talk about some positive news, even though, we're all struggling here. So one thing that I've really changed in my English classes, when this first started happening, I said to people, we'd be meeting via Google Meets, right? That if we do this right, then we have an opportunity to change education, and education is very slow to change. And so maybe it's going to take a moment like this to help push us all into whatever's going to be next for education. So in my English classes, that has really pushed me to make some big changes, because MDI High School is on the hybrid model. So I have students who are full-time learning online. I have students who are hybrid learning in the classroom and online. And I have some students who are even coming every day to school based on their needs. So it runs the gamut. And I had a wonderful teaching partner over the summer, Becky Lehman, who is also a member of the English department. And we decided to really blow up the curriculum for junior year, the class that we were redesigning for this hybrid model pandemic learning. And so what we really came to is motivation through choice. So our classes junior year are now incredibly self-directed. My students and it was the moment that I needed to kind of let go of the control, right? So my students are choosing the books that they want to read. They are writing about topics that are important to them. They are deciding what their passions are, and they are focusing on that as a way to increase motivation in these really difficult learning times. And
juniors are 16, 17.
They are.
That age. So, yeah. I mean, that's a really big step for them in terms of turning over the control to 16, 17-year-olds.
It is. And they're willing to take it on, and it takes a little, we've just started the new semester. We're 3 weeks in, and so it takes a little like, hey, you're going to be in control now, and here's what it looks like, and here's a structure that I have set up for you so that you can be successful when taking control. And so they're writing editorials, and they're producing podcasts, and they're reading what what brings them joy. And there's a lot of talk as we go about, doing what feels right for you in terms of your mental health. So I'll say, if you are ready to read The Grapes of Wrath, you should absolutely read The Grapes of Wrath, but not all of our brains can handle that right now. And so how do you select learning experiences for yourself that support your own mental health? So I'm hoping to just give them tools to take forward with all of those choices and all of the thought around where their mental health is, on any given day, and then how we support that through choices.
All right. Renee, foreign languages is going to be difficult. I mean, in over Zoom or whatever platform you're using.
Yes, and I would agree with what Kate said about we've taken the opportunity to maybe make some pretty big changes in the way that we teach language. We're obviously forced to use a lot more technology than we've ever used before. I mean, I've learned more technology in 6 months than I've learned in,
Oh, amen, sister. I'll tell you. I mean, 60 years old, there's stuff that I'm doing that I never wanted to do and have been forced to do.
Yeah. And one thing that I've been really excited about is finding some tools, for example, Google Jamboard, which is sort of an interactive whiteboard, but I discovered partway through maybe October that a lot of the traditional, I do a lot of games in class to get the kids interacting, because when you play games, they get less nervous about trying to speak Spanish and, you know, not worry so much about making mistakes. And I discovered that tool, and I discovered that I could replicate a lot of the interactive games that I used to do in class using that. And it allows the kids that are in the classroom on a given day to interact with the kids that are at home. So you don't have this split class and those kids never interact. So that's been a real exciting thing. Ruth will appreciate this because I've always wanted to try to cut back on the paper that I use in class. And it's always been a struggle with some of the activities that I do. But now I have discovered through technology that there are things that I can do that get us off paper. So that's another bonus. But it has been challenging. It's hard to have a mask on and enunciate. It's hard for the kids in class to work together and speak. Sometimes they have to go out in the hallway and spread apart to talk, but they're doing it. And I guess the thing that I want to address about that's positive is these kids just impress the heck out of me. They are so resilient. They're so grateful for whatever, you know, whether it's being able to play soccer this fall or basketball or swimming, doing, you know, the one acts with masks on. They are just incredibly resilient. And as much as they're going to lose this year and last spring, I think that they've gained these life skills that are going to serve them. So that's been a boost for me to see how these kids can come into the school when they're there and just, you know, be so resilient and so positive.
I was going to say, it seems like we're all playing a giant game of Survivor, and it's outwit, outlast, and adapt. I mean, and that's really, you know, except we're not going to some Caribbean island, but then we don't have bugs that we got to deal with. Ruth, tell us about what's happening with you and science. Science, I mean, you don't have labs. How the heck are you doing science?
Yeah, it's been different. But a lot of what Renee and Kate mentioned really resonate with me. So I teach biology and environmental science, and my biology teaching partner, Elisa Long, and I also kind of took the opportunity this summer to just totally reinvent our curriculum and integrate a lot of what we'd been wanting to use anyway. So a lot of that is connecting students, like their science content, to actual current events and the things that are important to them. And so we have used a lot of the technology tools that we learned, Parlay and Padlet opportunities where students can converse through writing or images, you know, whether they're hybrid or in class or whatever, to help them share ideas about like the human aspects of science. So we have gotten, it's very sad to be not doing as much of the hands-on projects that we used to do.
Dissection of toads is just, I mean, that's such an important part, right? I mean, and how you got to get grossed out when you dissect a toad for the first time.
I know, we're really missing that. But we actually, like, because of the social distancing constraints are actually such that we could be integrating more of that, honestly, than we have been. But we're so excited now about these new topics that we're bringing in. So we've been talking about hand washing and COVID and public health measures. Students wrote essays about what the best public health measures should be that we should take. They've had a unit on genetics and the kind of the social construct of race, which is a really big topic in society right now. Cancer and treatments to cancer, kind of arguing what would be some good methods for treating cancer in certain conditions. We did a a bit about reproduction and sex in different organisms, like male, female differences are really, really, like there's a huge spectrum across the animal kingdom. So they're all
that
topics
whole reproduction, staying 6 feet apart is difficult. So
yeah, we got to connect. They're thinking about it. So,
exactly.
we're trying to help them get excited about ideas and feel like they have like their opinions and their knowledge is valuable and that they can use that to make decisions in their lives. And so that's been really exciting to see students connecting in that way. I completely agree with Renee that I'm often blown away by students, and I think that if they have some basic skills and support in their lives, then they are really building these independent, their capacity as independent learners. And they're also using, I ask my students about their weekends and what they do with their free time. What did they do on Wednesday when they didn't have school? And, a third of them will say like, oh, nothing, or Netflix or whatever. But the rest of them are like working on their cars and doing, 10 hours of artwork at a time, and just amazing.
Charlie's all for that, right? Look at him, he perked up right there.
Yeah. So really cool stuff that they're doing. I think there's a lot of really positive things in our schedule, including a later start time for students and more time for office hours and independent, like one-on-one conversations. And the other thing that so for environmental science, when I was trying to reinvent the course over the summer on my own, I really wanted to maintain the hands-on aspect as much as I could. And so a lot of those labs that used to be a little bit dry in the classroom, I've turned into design projects at home. Like students had to make solar ovens based on using materials from their trash. And, so there are really great opportunities like if we can push ourselves as teachers to be creative, then, when we have these huge, crazy times that just put us out of our comfort zone, like it actually allows us to be more creative.
I was going to say, there's no doubt that lesson plans that you've used for years are just, tear up, throw out the window, and, use to make your solar oven. Because
yeah, exactly.
they just don't work in this time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fear in that and a lot of work. It's hard. It's a lot of time that needs to be spent, which is what probably prevented us from doing it originally, but it's also an opportunity.
Charlie, tell us about, and you're muted, tell us about what's happening with art media and explain what art media is.
Well, I let me back up to last spring.
Yeah.
And what a shock it was to have that happen, and everybody going through. A lot of my students kind of just withered into a shell, and I understand that. And so over the summer, I've heard this from you guys already, a lot of study around professional development, especially social emotional learning and that sort of thing, to kind of combat that affect, if you will. But I had a group of artists that were my National Art Honor Society that came through. We met every week. They were there, cameras on, talking to each other, excited. Art became a connection for all of them. And they did a project at the end of the semester in June, and put it all together. We printed it, and they all did squares, and were really engaged.
I think I posted that. I think it was very cool.
As it came around, beginning in the fall, preparing, as all of you have already said, new kinds of things. We're using new kinds of materials. We're using a lot of what I'd done for years was to depend on Google, and it was I had students using Google Drive. I didn't know a thing about it. I've been doing it for almost a decade, and I thought, oh, Google Drive, I got this, no problem, right? Really? I wasn't even scratching the surface. And a lot of that comes from students. I do most of my classes, well, all of my classes are electives. So I don't have a group of students like all juniors or separate levels of speed, language or that sort of thing. I've got high-end seniors and kind of beginning freshmen that are just, and so there's this grand mix. And the first thing I noticed was letting them take charge of content was something that was really a good thing. But a lot of them were, tell me what to do, feed me the steps, feed me the rules. And so struggle with that a little bit at first, but then there would be a few that would really leap out, jump out, take charge, move forward, and they became leaders in the class and would demonstrate to others. Also, a lot of more group work where students were working together. Sometimes I'd go into a breakout room and they'd all have their cameras off and it was quiet. Other times I go into a breakout room and they're all talking at the same time and it can't, and the chat box is full. They've been typing in frantically. Also had the fortunate experience of co-teaching a lesson, which never would have happened in a regular school day. But because of technology and being able to rearrange times and kids being able to meet asynchronously and that sort of thing, I did a digital project, packaging design with Jen Crandall, who teaches consumer sciences, and her food students came up with a food recipe, and my design students designed packaging for it, whether it was a can or a box or whatever. And that was totally awesome and something I'd never done before. And it just seemed like, that was critical. That was really critical to have that sort of thing happen. I take away from what Katie said about students pulling out of all of this, the idea that they are learning how to learn, that it's not just a matter of here are the directions, follow the steps, that sort of thing. They're learning how to go discover things and invent things. And right now I've got a digital media class. I'm running them through like 3 or 4 different kinds of software, and their heads are spinning a little bit. But what they're beginning to notice is, oh, look, this piece of this drawing tool is a lot like this other drawing tool. And they're making these connections, and the art, I think it's rich. It's really amazing. And a little blurb for my National Art Honor Society students is their March exhibits, a celebration of Youth Art Month across the country. And I noticed the governor yesterday proclaimed March as Arts in Education Month as well. They're doing a show where it's going to be titled Monsters. And I'm already a little bit frightened, but it should be a good show. I'm looking forward to that. So changes, yeah. Have there been some changes? Yes. Will some of them be permanent? Yes. We are so fortunate, I think, to have a forward-thinking, forward-looking administration and a willingness to support teachers and not have them, toe the line. That freedom, taking the collar away from our necks and throwing the leashes away, really enables us as a group and a team to accomplish so much. And that's what I'm really proud to be a part of all this. So there.
All right. Excellent. Wendy, you in the business office, you're like the glue that's sticking everybody together, because I know that from how many steps you guys are doing on a daily basis when it was for the seniors, for their graduation packages, for putting out computers at the beginning of the year. I mean, it's just been amazing what you guys have done to keep everyone organized. MDI's got 480-ish, or I don't know how many students. It's somewhere around there. 536. I mean, so for every student, at the beginning of the year, you had a bag and arranged for the pickup of the bags. And so kind of talk about what you're doing. And if you hear there's one Dane's just gone to the vet, the other one wanted to go for a car ride. He didn't want to go to the vet. So go ahead if that's what you're hearing in the background.
So yeah, I'm coming at this at a little bit of a different, way than the faculty is. But for me, flexibility, that's sort of been the term that we've dealt with in my office and with the sort of administrative team, and also coming up with ways to do things. We spread out these bags, and every we did it by advisor, and every kid had a bag, and we had to get them their laptops. And, staff was great bringing down books and papers. And so the beginning of the year, we really had a plan. We put bags outside. We assigned times for people to come, and everybody just fell into place, and we were able to do that. And as the semester ended, all of a sudden, Mr. Haney was like, wait a minute, we now have to get supplies back and then get them back out again. And again, we all sort of gathered together, and we did that. And we have close to 200 kids that are completely virtual right now. And so we had to figure out ways to get their stuff back and get stuff out to them. And again, it was about communication and flexibility and positive attitudes. I mean, I'm so lucky to work with staff that I do, right from, Superintendent Dr. Gauss to administration with Mr. Haney. And I come up with an idea, or they come to me and say, what do you think? And how do you do it? And we sort of just, spearhead into things and figure it out. But again, I have to throw out these kids. I pretty much have almost no interaction with kids now, which is a hard part of the job. But, I do watch them come in every morning, and we had to, when we went virtual right after Christmas break, and we were going to get ready to have some kids back in these halls, it was like, what can we do? Like, we got to do something to welcome them back. So we ended up, all the secretaries and administrators, we all took these cups home, and we put stickers and positive words on these cups. And then we got Dunkin' Munchkins, and we masked up and gloved up, and we made, little cups of Dunkin' Munchkins as the kids walked back in, just to say, welcome back to our halls. We missed you. And I think they were grateful. And Valentine's Day.
You're one of the biggest cheerleaders that no one knows about. And I mean, because you're stuck in that back office as you enter, people don't realize all that you do. And I mean, I know, and it's really appreciated.
And I feel that in the halls, that's been another hard is I've got teachers here that I've hardly laid eyes on. But the benefit of that, is I've learned to appreciate the little things. When I bump into Kate Meyer in the hall, it's like, oh, hi, and we're really excited to see each other for a few minutes. And it's made me appreciate those little things a lot more. And I think the kids feel that. Honestly, I've spent, this is, 23 years here at school. And there's been a lot of times that I've had to say tough things to kids, watch your language and don't do this and don't do that. And I don't think I've had to say one time this year, pull up your mask or put a mask on. Or these kids that are in this building, they want to learn. The kids that are virtual, like we've had to mail them stuff. We've had to, call them on the phone. We've had kids calling, I can't get into my class. And we run down the hall and knock on the door. And really it's been helping, and they're just grateful to get what learning they get. And for me, that's been the positive. The flexibility, the versatile kids. But COVID relief funds, a lot of people may have read and didn't, but we really were blessed with some COVID relief funds from the government. And our administration really said, what is it you guys need? Right from technology to desks to spread out to, plastic barriers around their desks so that, they could teach what they needed to teach. And if you need something in your classroom in this school and you don't have it, you just haven't asked the right person, because our staff has been blessed this year with what they've needed and wanted.
Yeah. I think next September, there's going to have to be a relaxation of the rule about no hugging in the hallways, because I think everybody is just dying to hug and shake hands and that whole thing is you're going to have to allow 15 minutes in between classes or something, because everyone is just, oh my God, I can't wait to see people again. And it's just, fist bumps and elbow bumps. I'm so over that. It's,
yeah, like for
hug.
Valentine's Day last week, we often sold like little Valentine grams, and the kids would buy for $1 and do their friends and stuff like that. Well, we couldn't do that this year, and So a few weeks ago, I was talking to my staff here in the office, and we're like, let's make them for everybody. So every classroom got a little baggie of little dum-dum lollipops and sweeties and little hearts. And we made sure every kid that walked in this door had the opportunity for just a little love that day. And even if it was a piece of chocolate, hey, if it made
It's
you
not the
smile,
Charlie
then
Brown Valentine with I
Right.
got a rock, right? You got
Right.
everybody got something.
But again, I think, flexibility, and, we've always said in this office, it is what it is. And this year it is what it is until it isn't. And then we figure out a way to make it okay again. And that's what's come out of this for me is positive attitudes and working with the people, like from the top to the bottom to make this work out.
One thing I know is that there've been so many more meetings. I mean, I was involved with the MDI graduation last year, the planning, and oh my, you talk about meeting after meeting after meeting. I mean, the normal school day of what, 7:30 to 3 has just been extended way out. And I know that, hello, Elmar. I know a lot of you are, available to kids and parents on weekends as well, and at nights.
And I think with social media and like Zoom and all these other ways to communicate, which is also, kind of been a positive, it's made that necessary. And you're right. I mean, I communicate with parents with a lot of different things than the teachers do, but we've done it. And I think, our staff is doing a great job right from, and like Mr. Dow with athletics and Mr. Rush with drama, and how they've been able to implement what we've been able to implement in these halls and in these rooms is unbelievable.
Yeah. All right, go around. Last chance for everyone before we wrap up. We are going to meet tomorrow with another group, and we'll get that posted. Kate, anything you want to add or that we missed? Or
I want to give a shout out to my students from, September all the way through, because they have been just so kind and so willing to extend grace and so willing to put themselves out there and try new things. So I'm just so proud of our students, really.
All right, Renee.
Yeah, I would just echo what Kate said, especially talking about seniors. I have a senior, so wah wah. And I have senior advisees, and some of the seniors that I've known since they were 5 have decided this year, like my son stopped. He got all his classes done this fall, so he's able to work. I have an advisee that's doing an 80-day Knowles adventure course. She's out in Utah doing backcountry skiing, and then she's going to go, which is, a huge thing to do. I have a student that's not in school this semester who's going to be a ski patrol. Like, it's just, so the seniors are kind of going, well, this is not what I imagined. What can I do? Like, how can I use the time that I have to do some stuff that I wouldn't have done otherwise, instead of just, it is hard and it is sad sometimes, but they're really forcing themselves to rise above and figure out what to do to make things okay for them. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud of the seniors. I'm so proud of everybody, but I just also feel like these seniors have just accomplished so much this year.
And Mark, Thursday's down, and we'll be starting graduation meetings, I'm sure, pretty soon. So you'll be involved in that. Ruth, last comments from you.
I just wanted to piggyback on something that Wendy said about like outside of regular school opportunities, which is one thing that I think is a really great part of our current schedule. That Wednesdays we don't have regular classes, which has allowed clubs to also, I think, flourish at this time, especially because students are really seeking some sort of social engagement and community, which is hard to find. So I'm the advisor for the ECO team, and we've had huge participation, especially among freshmen, and they're doing amazing work. They're working on things that we would not have accomplished, and they're connecting with each other in ways that we wouldn't have been able to do, even though, of course, we miss the in-person interactions. But students who would otherwise be doing all of the amazing theater and music and sports can now participate in kind of other things as well. So I've been really appreciating that.
All right. And Charlie?
I comment on something Wendy said about communication, but first the whole disparity thing. There are a number of students. I don't mean to throw cold water on the celebration here, but one thing that has come out is it stands out. Students that are struggling, families that are struggling, really stand out in this environment, in this kind of progress. And I think one thing, the positive side of that, and Wendy referred to communication, I think we had parent conferences virtually, and across the board, parents loved it. They really, and I think I had a far greater, probably 50% more than ever of parents coming on, getting online, and you're sitting there having a conversation with them, and it's not at school, it's in their environment. And I think it really, seem to be more relaxed. They seem to be more amenable to deeper discussion and that sort of thing. It kind of reminded me of what goes on in some of the classes. So yeah, I think that this process has really gained some ground. We've really become a lot more adept at it. And I think it's being recognized not only by our colleagues and such, but also the community at large. So yeah.
Okay. Wendy?
I would, just sort of echo, what everybody said, and just being grateful for the little things. And, break was, I think everybody was ready for a vacation, a break. But like you said, I mean, we're going to come back here and we're going to figure out what our graduation is going to look like, and we're going to do the best we can by these kids. And like Renee said, for the seniors, like, 1 second your heart just breaks for them. And then the second, we're talking about doing, last year we did those great photos, and so we've already got some great things in place. So we're talking about being able to do something like that, only doing it even better. So I would just say, be patient. We're doing the best we can. And we're grateful that, this building is here and all the positives that are coming out of some really, really tough times.
I guess the one thing I would add is that from my perspective, I think the MDI High School administration, the teachers are always receptive to talking to parents, to talking to students, so that if you have an idea that can make things better, if something isn't working, do reach out to the teacher, do reach out to Matt Haney, the principal, Wendy Littlefield, who's the conduit, to Mary Coro, who everything seems to kind of funnel through, is do let people know that if you are struggling or if you do have an idea. We know that technology and wireless capability in Otter Creek is much different than in downtown Bar Harbor. And I mean, it's just, that may be a good thing that's come out of this, is that those kind of things are going to be improved and are a priority. And hopefully we can get that stuff, better for all. All right. Thank you all for joining us. We'll post this online. We'll have another group tomorrow. I hope you have a great rest of your February vacation, and go Trojans. Thanks very much.
Great to see all you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.